Hi everybody, my name is David and I am your host here on the Cartoon Fortress YouTube channel. Now, we have reached the end of 2020, thank heavens, but aside from everything that's obviously happened this year, this has been an absolutely stellar year for physical media, and I wanted to take this chance to highlight some of the top editions that I've brought into the collection this year. I know there's been some other channels that have had some really great kind of year-end highlights and definitely some other videos that are very deserving of your attention. And like I said, just a lot of really wonderful physical media releases. So I'm going to do my best to highlight as much as I can from this year. Again, ones that I've personally brought into my collection. This is by no means going to be exhaustive. I know there's titles that I won't be showcasing here today that I probably should, but it's kind of near impossible to highlight everything that came out this year. So, I do want to start by saying there's one omission here that is not on purpose. I have not received my Arrow Video limited edition set for Tremors. It looks like I'll probably be getting that sometime in the first week of January. So definitely stay tuned on the channel for coverage on that set. But in terms of this video here today, that's just not going to be present because I literally don't have the set in my possession. Whoop, sorry for kicking the camera there. Yeah, so I'm going to try my best to go kind of label by label here. And I'm going to come out and say it right now, I really don't have any kind of main, studio releases on Blu-ray that I'm going to be featuring here. This is all going to be boutique label releases, which is really kind of how I am as a collector. Most of what I bring into the collection comes from boutique labels. That's just how I like to collect. That's what I like to collect. So just a disclaimer there. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with Scream Factory. This was easily their release of the year, and one that I had been anticipating for a long time. Of course, what we have here is the Friday the 13th Deluxe Edition. Here's a look. Now, I did an unboxing video on the channel. If you want to check that out, you can. But this is a 12 film set. 12 film set here with really great newly commissioned artwork and just a really beautiful presentation here overall. And I want to apologize as well. It actually might become a more normal thing for me to film here. I know this is not the most entertaining background to look at. Unless you're in the blind business, then maybe this is everything to you. But I'm at my desk, and so this is just a really easy place to set up a lot of what I want to go over, and the collection is over here and behind the camera, so nothing really entertaining to look at behind me. So anyways, back to the set. Focus, David, let's go. All right, so yeah, just really great artwork. And with this set, what I was really excited for is that we had 4K transfers on the first 4 films. Now, Friday the 13th had a 4K scan of the original camera negative, as did Part 2, as did Part 3, and then Part 4 no, yeah, so part 4, yeah, so parts 1 through 4 had the 4K scans from the original camera negative. They look really fantastic, and I've made my way through half of this set at this point, and then I still have to go through all of the supplements. So we get supplements on each of the discs, and then we also get, here on the end, we get an extra disc, and then we get the booklet as well. So I still have quite a ways to go on this set, but as I said, I've made my way through Friday the 13th Part 6 through Jason Lives. So I've got The New Blood, Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason, and Friday the 13th, 2009 to go, and then the supplements. But just overall, a really, really stellar set. Friday the 13th, for Friday the 13th, and Scream Factory's really set a high bar for themselves. Unfortunately, I do not own the Halloween set, which followed suit with the Friday the 13th collection. I wasn't collecting a lot of Scream Factory at that time, and I just wasn't a set that I got. So unfortunately, that is not with me. Maybe someday it'll fall into my lap, but as of right now, I don't have that one. Now, keeping with the horror genre here, I want to move to Second Sight Films. Now, Second Sight Films is based out of the UK, and I think this is a lot of people's release of the year, and for great reason. This is George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Very lucky to have gotten a copy of this in. Now, rights on this particular film for Second Sight, they were only able to distribute within the UK. And that was for licensing purposes. And so, luckily, I was able to go through Diabolic DVD and secure a copy here in the States. So I got that shipped out, and Diabolic did really, really wonderful in terms of shipping. So I want to give a shout out to them. I would easily buy from them again. But with this Dawn of the Dead set, it's just really, really great. Such a stacked set. We have a novelization of the film. We get a nice hardbound book, the soundtrack, and the audio library. And then, of course, we get 3 cuts of the film. And just such a stellar set. So in terms of horror, we've gotten possibly 2 of the very best releases of all time on physical media this year in Dawn of the Dead and Friday the 13th. And Second Sight did not stop there in terms of horror films for the year. Let's see on my table here. They put out another horror film this year that I was really excited to see a limited edition box set for, and that is Brian Bertino's The Strangers. Of course, this stars Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman, and there's a lot of great extra features on here, and then you also get the poster and the Perfect Bound book in there as well. And just overall, really great presentation here. If you're not familiar with Second Sight, they're definitely deserving of your attention. They've got some more releases that are slated for this coming year, and I think there's going to be a lot of great work coming from them. So this is The Strangers. Now, there's one other Second Sight Films box set, limited edition box set that I want to talk about. And this is a film that was brand new to me this year. And I have a really hard time pronouncing the director's name. Coralie, and I'm sorry, I'm not... Fargate. I'm absolutely butchering that. But this stars Matilda Lutz, Kevin Janssens, Vincent Columb, and Guillaume Boucher. I'm just totally butchering these names, but we have Revenge. This is a really hard-hitting film. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll give that disclaimer that this film is not for the faint of heart. But we get a really great presentation. Obviously, very neon pink, and then you get the backdrop of the desert. I thought this was a really great revenge film, and one that definitely deserves the attention that it's gotten. And I think it's just going to be one of those ones that's a bit more niche. I don't think this is going to appeal to as wide of an audience as other films might, but I certainly think this deserves the attention that it's received, if not more. I think it's a really well-made film, and one that I will definitely revisit from time to time. Not one that I could watch on a regular basis, but yeah, just a great overall package here, and some great extra features included on this set as well. And here you get the book and the poster and everything as well. So that is Revenge from Second Sight, and that does it for Second Sight, the sets that I wanted to feature. Now I am going to jump over to, let's go with Warner Archive Collection. So Warner Archive this year, they've made some great animation releases. That's really what I want to highlight here, is their efforts into putting out some animated classics. And very recently we had the second volume of Tex Avery, and then of course earlier this year we had the first volume. These are two releases not to be ignored. I love the work that Warner Archive has put into these collections. It's very evident that a lot of work has gone into the restoration on these shorts, and I'm so glad that that's happening. And I hope that we continue to see more volumes released. I believe if the whole collection sees the light of day, we should have about 5 or 6 volumes when all is said and done. And hopefully it gets to that point where we do see kind of a complete collection. But not a lot to talk about in terms of extra features. The second volume does feature a documentary from 1988 about Tex Avery, so really happy to have that. But 2 really stellar volumes of classic animation here. And the other animation release from them, and there's been others too that I've picked up, but I wanted to highlight this one specifically, and this is Space Ghost and Dino Boy, the complete series. The original DVD set for this went out of print, and then they had kind of a burn-on-demand edition of this available through Warner. But I'm really grateful to see a proper Blu Ray complete series release. This was just a really big show for me as a kid. When I was growing up, Hanna-Barbera was kind of a staple in my childhood. A lot of the cartoons I watched on a regular basis on Cartoon Network. But just really excited to see this. And something else I want to point out too, and I could have showed this with the Tex Avery set as well, I really like that they've got great disc art, and then in this case they have the episodes listed right on the disc, which is actually kind of cool. I do, if I'm being honest, I do prefer an actual physical episode guide that you can pull out, but having the episodes listed on the disc is nice as well. And then this one, in terms of special features, we get what they're calling a feature-length profile, Simplicity, the life and art of Alex Toth, or Toth. I'm not going to lie, I didn't realize that was on here. I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch that. I've got a large format book of his art of Alex, and I don't know if it's Toth or Toth, but I'll go with Toth. I have a large book of his artwork, a large format book, and I'm looking over here. I can't remember who put that book out, but it's a really great edition if you are into the art of obviously Space Ghost, kind of that era of Hanna-Barbera cartoons. I mean, he is he's really the style behind a lot of those animated classics, and so I highly recommend going and checking out that book. You can just go on Amazon and look up Alex Toth art book, and it'll come right up. So some really stellar animated releases from Warner Archive this year. Now I'm going to go ahead and move into one Arrow Video release that I wanted to highlight, and this is another one from my childhood, and this is The Last Starfighter, directed of course by Nick Castle, who was the Shape in the original Halloween film. And then it stars Lance Guest, Catherine Mary Stewart. This is just such an 80s classic, one that I revisit, I revisited a lot as a kid and not so much in my adult years, and so it's great to have this Arrow edition, kind of this definitive edition, and it features a brand new restoration from a 4K scan of the original 35mm camera negative, which is great. And then lots of extra features on this one as well. But I love the presentation that we get here from Arrow Video. So we have just the nice velvety soft slip cover that I love that we get from them. And then here we have the reversible artwork. I went with the reversible artwork on this one, which I always do when there's a slip cover involved, just so I can see both versions of the art. But I was really pleased that they put this film out this year. So The Last Starfighter is one of my favorites from Arrow Video. Now, speaking of Arrow Video, I'm actually going to do, I'm going to highlight one more Arrow Video and then 2 Arrow Academy releases. And I'm sure for collectors of Arrow Video, you might know what I'm getting at here. This is definitely one of the box set releases of the year, and this is Gamera, the complete collection. This is another one I feel pretty lucky to have gotten my hands on. I know, unfortunately, other collectors that really wanted this set that just weren't able to secure a copy, and I really hate that. And I know there's some condensed editions coming out that will include all of these films in just kind of standard size sets. So all hope is not lost if you're wanting to own the Arrow transfers on these films. They will be coming out, and I think that's, I want to say that's going to be Q1 of 2021 when those come out, but just a really, really cool release here. So we get a couple of books here. So this is the comics collection, which has some great write-ups. Sorry, just try and give you a peek in here at just some of the great art that we get in this book. So that is, Gamera, the comics collection. And then there on the back, you can see what's involved. Sorry about the glare from my other window. And then also, we get a perfect bound book, and this has more kind of write-ups and interviews and essays, kind of that type of thing. In fact, I wanted to go to the middle. I think I flipped past it. Yeah, we get these cross sections, these really cool cross sections of the different kaiju. So just really, really neat. I mean, they really went all out. And then, so inside the Heisei trilogy by Norman England. So just some great write-ups in there. And then we get this book, which actually houses the discs. And I kept the back J-card sheet in there. So this is something kind of akin to the Godzilla, the Showa era films collection. So they're kind of in these little pockets, and then it features just really stellar kind of large format artwork. But overall, it's really tough to come up with any cons on this set. Just really happy that I was able to get a copy in, and sorry, trying to get this all put back together properly. So again, that is Gamera, the complete collection. Okay, so next up, so we're jumping from Arrow Video over to Arrow Academy, and they had two really stellar releases this year. First, I'll start with the slightly smaller one, even though both of these are pretty large. This is The Game, the limited edition Blu-ray. And yeah, so this film is available via Criterion on Blu-ray, and I had held out from making that purchase, and I was glad that I did. When I saw this release from Arrow, I knew that this was definitely the way to go, and I'm glad that I have this particular copy. And now this limited edition set was limited to 3,000 units, and I'm on their site right now, and it actually looks like there's still limited availability on this. So if this is one that you're interested in, there are still some copies available. But there's a 2K restoration from the original negative by the Criterion Collection, so they utilize that same restoration, which is cool. So you're not losing anything or gaining anything in terms of quality of transfer. It is the same transfer that Criterion did. And yeah, just a lot of great extra features here as well. Sorry, I don't want this video to go on for hours, so I'm not going to go too heavily into extra features on all of these items, but this does feature some unique packaging. So obviously this is a larger format than just a standard Blu-ray, and then we get this really cool book, and then within the book, and again I have my J card here that I put in here, we have the disc in the sleeve, and then just a really thick book here. I mean, you can see how thick that is. And then we have I believe this is just a DVD copy of the film in the back. So really cool packaging, really great artwork, and just overall really wonderful presentation on David Fincher's The Game. And finally, with Arrow Academy, we have a film by Georges Méliès. This is none other than A Trip to the Moon. I am blown away by this release. I feel like we got just a really beautiful edition here, and this features now I believe this is now I actually I'm going to back up here. I know that availability on the autobiography of Georges Méliès was at least like really limited in its availability, and so it has been made available now via this collection. So first let me show you, and this was kind of the letdown part of this set. So we have this kind of really thin paper insert here, and that is where our disc is housed, and it's very minimal. I don't know why they wouldn't have gone with the style like they did with The Game and just have a sleeve kind of on the inside of the book that they house the disc. For whatever reason, they didn't go that route. But the book included is this very nice fabric kind of cloth bound, whoops, go this way, cloth bound book, and this is the long lost autobiography of Georges Méliès, father of science and fantasy cinema, with annotation and supporting material by John Spira. And so you can see on the back there's a site that you can visit, and you can see this is a nice thick edition, and just great page design and just a very attractive book here included with the film. So that all goes together nicely. And again, I mean, feels like they really could have done better with the way that they housed the disc, but I am not going to complain too much because overall it's just a really, really beautiful edition. And that is another one that if you're still interested in picking up that set, it is still in stock on arrowfilms.com. You can visit their site, and that is available for £45 is the going rate on that set. All right, so that does it for Arrow Academy. Now I want to jump over to Criterion, and again, this is not exhaustive. There's a lot of great additions that I'm not going to be discussing here, but I just wanted to pick out a few to talk very briefly about. And the standard case release of the year for me, I really, really enjoyed this film. This is directed by Henry King, and this is Gregory Peck in The Gunfighter. I'm getting to be a bigger and bigger fan of Westerns, and yeah, that sun's gonna kind of hurt me here. I'm getting to be a bigger and bigger fan of Westerns, and The Gunfighter was just an absolutely wonderful film. This is, in terms of the kind of the shoot 'em up Westerns, this is a lot more subdued than that. It has a performance from Gregory Peck that is gonna stick with me for a really long time. I loved how subdued he was. This is about so much more than kind of a typical Western. It's very much a human piece that has to do with someone who is living with kind of their life choices, and who's just wanting to settle down, kind of focus on those more important matters. But Gregory Peck plays Jimmy Ringo, and he's one of the feared kind of names in the West, and I love the kind of quiet nature of his character, and the conversations that happen. I know I really loved the performance by Millard Mitchell as Marshall Mark Strett. And the other thing that really surprised me with this one was there's a fair amount of comedy infused as well, and so it's not just it's not 100% a really somber piece. There's comedic moments where I was laughing out loud, and I really love what Henry King produced here. I think this is an absolute gem of a film in the Western genre, and so this is from 1950. So this is about a decade before Gregory Peck's performance as Atticus Finch in my favorite film of all time, obviously To Kill a Mockingbird. But just a really wonderful performance, really wonderful film, and one that I highly recommend, and such a great part of the Criterion Western collection. So this was my favorite, and I'm calling this a standard release, meaning just in the standard packaging. Next up, this gets my vote in terms of kind of the most creative packaging for the year, and on top of that, it's a really stellar release from Criterion, and this is Three Fantastic Journeys by Karel Zeman. And this features 3 films. We have Journey to the Beginning of Time, Invention for Destruction, and The Fabulous Baron Munchausen. And these are from 1955, 1958, and 1962, respectively. So the cover art on this as if that's not cool enough. So this is kind of layered. So, whoops, wrong way here. So as you pull this out, you can see that it's layered, and then you get this really cool presentation here. So there's the artwork on the front and the back, and then as you unfold this, so here we get a quote by Karel Zeman: "I have only one wish, to delight the eyes and heart of every child." And then we have our first film, which is Journey to the Beginning of Time. And then we get this little leaflet, which is really cool as well. Kind of like an old newsletter type thing. But I love that with each of the films, we get this kind of pop-up art. So as you can see, the discs are housed up here in these sleeves. And then we have this pop-up art, which is obviously a scene from the film. And then once we go to the other side, sorry, trying to hold this properly here. So we get Invention for Destruction. And then this opens up. Again, just really, really cool. And then our final film here, The Fabulous Baron Munchausen. And just really, really neat pop-up art here. So a wonderful presentation, and then obviously 3 really wonderful films here included as well. But I love the creativity that went into the packaging. Now, creative packaging always doesn't always pay off. We've seen sometimes the packaging go a bit south, but in terms of this release, I'm really excited with what we have here. So that is 3 Fantastic Journeys by Karel Zeman, and these feature some great extra features as well. So you can see there's just a wealth of supplements available as well on there. Okay, so wonderful set there. And then next up we have the Best Picture winner from 2019, film by Bong Joon-ho, and this is Parasite. Now this is a digipack presentation here, but this is also creative as well because we get the Morse code and the slip box there, so really cool presentation there. And then we get this artwork on the front and back, and then when we open it up, unfortunately we get just kind of the the leaflet style, and then really great artwork on the inside here. So I'm a fan of the digipack editions with Criterion. I love their standard case releases, to be quite honest, but I like the digipack releases and the box sets, and especially when they can put kind of a creative spin on it. And so with Karel Zeman and Parasite, I definitely feel like they did that. Now, to round out the Criterion releases that I want to highlight for the year, I want to talk about something more specific. So that is the relationship that Criterion has established with Netflix. So we've had 3 films from Netflix that I want to highlight here that made it to the collection, and all 3 are editions that I was absolutely happy to go and buy during the sale. I know the argument has partially been that people maybe don't necessarily feel the need to pick up these releases because they're available to stream. I will always stand up for physical media. I think it's the far superior format, meaning superior to, of course, streaming. I love the convenience of streaming, and I definitely have streaming services, but when all is said and done, if it's available on physical media and it's a film that I love to watch, one that I'll definitely revisit. I will bring it into my collection, and especially when we're talking about something like the Criterion Collection. So there's 3 films from Netflix that I want to highlight here. The first is a film by Noah Baumbach. I absolutely loved this. I saw it a couple of times when it first premiered on Netflix, and I still need to go through the Criterion edition, but this is, of course, Marriage Story, featuring Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. And on this, we get a new 4K digital transfer, lots of supplements. We get the making of Marriage Story. And then this is another one where I really, really enjoy the packaging. So here's the cover. And Scarlett Johansson, and then their son, and Adam Driver is actually on the back here. And then I'll pull out. So we have our booklet as well. And then I love this. You open it up and so you get great disc art, and then the art behind. Sorry, the sun's really starting to work against me. But we get now I don't want to give away any spoilers, but we get the letters that they write to one another in the film, and we get those presented here. So I thought that was just a really nice touch. And yeah, just great disc art. And then we have this final scene from the film. And yeah, just great presentation. And then we get the booklet included here as well, or leaflet, whatever you want to call it. So some great reading in there as well. All right, so that's Marriage Story. So that's the first part of the Criterion Netflix journey for 2020. Next up, we have Martin Scorsese's The Irishman, and all of these I've unboxed on the channel as well. So if you want to go watch those videos, you can. But here we have The Irishman. Again, we get this digipack presentation, and there's some really awesome artwork featured here. And you can see that continues on the inside here as well. And then I Heard You Paint Houses, which is the book that the film is based on. And then we get the discs here as well. So that's The Irishman. Another one that this film seems to be a little bit polarizing. I really enjoyed it, obviously, because I brought it into my collection, but just really grateful to have this nice edition. I love Martin Scorsese's work, and really happy to have that. Now, the last one is a film by Alfonso Cuarón. This is Roma. So another really solid digipack release. This one features some beautiful photography right on the packaging, and by far out of these 3 sets, the thickest booklet here. And this is more of a book, not a booklet, and it's a perfect bound, and it's got just really beautiful photography and lots to read up on, lots of great photography to look at. So really great presentation there. And then we get artwork on the back there, on the front, and then we get our disc. All right, so those were the releases from Criterion this year that I wanted to highlight. Now I look forward to the relationship with Criterion and Netflix continuing forward, and I'm interested to see what their next move is in terms of Netflix releases. But yeah, so that does it for the Criterion Collection. So I've got 2 more releases that I want to look at. So the first, and this should be well, let's go. Yeah, let's go with this one here. So okay, so this I'm a big basketball fan, and as I said in my unboxing video of this set, I grew up in Utah. I've been a big Utah Jazz fan my whole life, and so this particular set, it's always a bit heartbreaking to kind of remember this time of the late '90s, but also such a fun time to be a fan of sports and a fan of the NBA. And this is a 10-part documentary event that was produced through ESPN Films, and this is The Last Dance. So this chronicles what Phil Jackson called The Last Dance, meaning their last season together as a team, which was the 1997-1998 campaign. Now, the Utah Jazz were, of course, there with them in the finals in the 96-97 and 97-98 season, both times ending in a Bulls victory, which concluded their second three-peat. So this Bulls dynasty, just an amazing team. But this documentary really peels back the layers, and we get kind of the inside story. I love the interviews that take place. I've watched my way through this series almost twice. I've got 2 more episodes to go to kind of finish my second round. And this set features some great extra features as well. So it's kind of unique packaging. We get this outer box. And then on the back, we get the Bulls logo. And yeah, I mean, this is a unique package. It's not standard, but it's got this magnetic latch here. And then whoops, that doesn't pull all the way out, but it's you just pull that up, and then there's disc 1, and then that comes down, and there's disc 2 and 3, and then in the middle you pull out a let's see if I can get to it here. You have a book and then a timeline of the events that are discussed in the documentary. So the scope of this documentary is a lot greater than just that last dance. I mean, we go all the way back to the beginning of Jordan's career, his time at the University of North Carolina, and then it focuses a lot too on Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. We have kind of 2 episodes that really focus in on Scottie Pippen, and then one on Dennis Rodman, and then kind of the overarching series. Obviously, there's going to be a bigger focus on Michael Jordan, but it does discuss the team as a whole, and there's some surprising things that come out, and there's some items that are discussed that are, if you're a fan of sports and you've been a fan of the NBA for years, it's stuff that you kind of already knew, but it's interesting to hear Jordan and Pippen and all these guys, Phil Jackson, and then also Bulls ownership talk about kind of getting their take on it. I know there was a lot of tempers that flared, and things went down for sure, but just a really, really interesting documentary series, and one that I've been really happy to revisit again, and also included as an extra feature, or the extra features on here. There's the roundtable discussions that happened with Scott Van Pelt on ESPN after each of the episodes aired, and then there is what is it? Games. I don't want to butcher this here. Let me actually pull out I think we get a list of, maybe not the extra features on here, but there's, yeah, we don't. But there's one of the games too that is presented in HD. It's the infamous, Jordan's last shot over Brian Russell with the Utah Jazz, which, depending on if you're a Utah Jazz fan or a Chicago Bulls fan, you have maybe very different feelings on that game. But we get that game presented in HD, which is a really cool experience. And then you get the roundtable discussions, and I think there's some more extra features as well. And unfortunately, I didn't keep the J card on that one, which had that extra features information. But that's on me. Now, the final set that I want to talk about this year, and just because it's the final set doesn't mean that this is my favorite set of the year, but it is certainly in the discussion. And I was originally going to do kind of a top 5 releases of the year, and I wanted to talk about and feature more sets than just 5. Obviously, we've talked about a lot more than 5 sets here. But this box set, there's a couple things. So the box set itself was just about the most fun that I've had with a box set this year. And it just proves to me that this label is really the top of the stack in terms of box sets. There's nobody that does box sets better than these guys, and I'm really excited for the future of this label coming in 2021. There's just so much promise for the editions that we're going to get this coming year. What set am I talking about? I am talking about Columbia Noir #1 from none other than Indicator out of the UK. There is nobody doing box sets better than Indicator right now. These sets are absolutely gorgeous. We get the films in their own cardboard sleeves, and then we get this 120-page perfect bound book, and the limited, these are limited editions, and on the belly band here, oops, you see how much the sun's working against me here. I got number 607 of 6,000. And then just a ton of extra features. I had so much fun with this set. I'm already a big fan of Noir, and I had seen a couple of films in this collection prior to watching them through this set. And then I have some new favorites as well. I'm going to talk more about this set, so I'll save kind of further thoughts for that video. But just the artwork, the overall presentation here, the supplements included, this to me is as close as it gets to a perfect box set. This is absolutely a 10 out of 10, and one that deserves to be on as many shelves as it can get to. In this case, it would be 6,000 because that's what it's limited to. But just so impressed with the work of Indicator, and in particular with this release of Columbia Noir #1. I did reach out to Indicator, and they've already made this known via the newsletter, and it's kind of general knowledge, but there are going to be many more Noir sets coming from Indicator, so I'm very, very excited about that. I do already have the second box set pre-ordered, which comes out in February. So stay tuned for that. I'll, of course, have coverage on the channel for that set. And like I said, I will have further thoughts on this set coming soon. I've watched all the films, and I'm just making my way through a little bit. I have a little bit more in terms of supplements to get through. And then I will wrap up and kind of share my thoughts on this box set. But absolutely stellar work from Indicator this year, and in particular with this set. Okay, so the sun is creeping, whoops, this side, the sun is creeping over towards me, so that tells me that I should probably wrap up this video. But we've made it through the stack that I wanted to get through on this video. Sorry, we're coming up on just under an hour here, but thank you so much for giving me the opportunity here to present these sets to you. I really feel like 2020 was a banner year for physical media. I'm so anxious to know what your favorite releases are for the year. Definitely let me know in the comments. Let me know if you have a favorite label, if you maybe there were some of the big studio releases that you were excited about this year. Definitely let me know in the comments what you picked up, what you're excited about. And 2021, I hope, is as good, if not better, than this year. But it really, it's going to be a hard year to beat in terms of physical media releases for sure. But I look forward to seeing what 2021 has to offer. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the video off there. So if you are new to this channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. If you found this video helpful or entertaining in any way, I invite you to hit that subscribe button, also the like button, and lastly, the bell icon. That will notify you when I upload new videos in the future. And until next time, I am your host, David, with the Cartoon Fortress channel, and I hope you have an awesome day.